Steve Rowland Prefontaine was an American middle and long-distance runner who competed in the 1972 Olympics. Fontaine once held the American record in 7 different distance track events from the 2,000 meters to the 10,000 meters. Fontaine died in May 1975 at the age of 24 in an auto accident. Fontaine, Jim Rohn, Frank Shorter, and Bill Rodgers generated considerable media coverage which helped inspire the 1970s running boom. Fontaine was often known for his mustache and his long locks of hair that parted as he ran. Early life: Steve Fontaine was born on January 25, 1951, in the coastal logging town of Coos Bay, Oregon. His father, Raymond Fontaine, was a carpenter and a welder after his time serving in the U.S. Army in World War II. Steve's mother, Elfriede, worked as a seamstress. The two returned to Coos Bay after Ray had met Elfriede in Germany while serving with the U.S. Army occupation forces. He had 2 sisters, Nita and Linda, and they all grew up in a house built by their father. Fontaine was a rambunctious person, even during his formative years. He was always moving around, partaking in different activities. In junior high, Fontaine was on his Sciola Euro unregistered trademark S football and basketball teams, but was rarely allowed to play because of his short stature. In the 8th grade, he noticed several high school cross-country team members jog to practice past the football field, an activity he then viewed as mundane. Later that year, he began to realize he was able to compete well in longer distance races in his physical education class during a 3-week conditioning period. By the 2nd week of the daily mile runs, Fontaine was able to finish second in the group. With this newfound success, he fell in love with cross-country. High school: when he began high school at Marshfield High School in 1965, Fontaine joined the cross-country team, coached by Walt McClure, Jr. McClure ran under coach Bilbo Werman at the University of Oregon and his father, Walt McClure, Sr. ran under Bill Haywood, also at Oregon. Fontaine's freshman and sophomore years were decent, and he managed a 5:01 mile personal best in his first year. Though starting out as the 7th man, he progressed to be the 2nd by the end of the year and placed 53rd in the state championship. In his sophomore year, he failed to qualify for the state meet in his event, the 2-mile. However, his coach recalls that it was his sophomore year where his potential in the sport really began to surface. With the advice of Walt McClure, Fontaine, a Euro unregistered trademark S high school coach, he took it upon himself to train hard over the summer. He went through his junior cross-country season undefeated and won the state title. In his senior year, many of his highest goals were set. He obtained a national record at the Corvallis Invitational with a time of 8:41.5, only 1.5 seconds slower than his goal, and 6.9 seconds better than the previous record. He won 2 more state titles that year after another undefeated season in both the 1- and 2-mile distances. Fontaine was recruited by 40 colleges across the nation, and he received numerous phone calls, letters, and drop-in visits from coaches. Fontaine referred many of his calls to McClure, who wanted Fontaine to attend the University of Oregon. McClure turned away those universities that began recruiting him late. McClure maintained that he did not sway Fontaine's collegiate choice, except to ask Steve where all the distance runners went to college. Fontaine wanted to stay in state for college and attend the University of Oregon. Sadly, he had not heard much from Bilbo Werman, the head coach for the University of Oregon. Fontaine only received letters from Oregon once a month, whereas other universities such as Villanova were persistent in recruiting him. As a result, Fontaine did not know how much Bilbo Werman wanted him to attend Oregon. Bo Werman stated that he did not recruit Fontaine differently than how he recruited anyone else. It was a matter of principle for him to advise recruits where to attend college, wherever it may be, and to not flood the recruits with correspondence. Bo Werman had followed Fontaine's career since he was a sophomore and agreed with McClure in his assessment of Steve being a good runner. It wasn't until Fontaine read a letter from Bilbo Werman that he made up his mind to attend the University of Oregon. Bo Werman wrote that he was certain Fontaine would become the world's greatest distance runner if he decided to run at Oregon. Although it was an odd promise, Fontaine was up for the challenge. Sometime after Fontaine announced that he signed a letter of intent to attend the University of Oregon on the 1st of May in 1969, Bo Werman wrote a letter addressed to the community of Coos Bay describing his appreciation for their role in helping Steve become a great runner. College. Fontaine was recruited by several top track programs across the United States, but decided to enroll at the University of Oregon to train under coach Bill Bo Werman. In 1972 he began his training for the upcoming Olympic Games in Munich. He was defeated only twice for the rest of his college career, both times in the mile. He also won 4 5,000-meter titles in track 3 times in a row. At this time, he suffered only 2 more defeats in college, winning 3 Division I NCAA cross-country championships and 4 straight 3-mile/5,000-meter titles in track. He was a member of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity. Fontaine became a very aggressive runner, insisting on going out hard and not relinquishing leads. He was quoted as saying, "No one will ever win a 5,000-meter by running an easy 2 miles. Not against me." He would later state, "I am going to work so that it's a pure guts race. In the end, if it is, I'm the only one that can win it." Despite his reputation for leading early instead of holding back until the last lap, Fontaine had tremendous leg speed. His career best for the mile was only 3.5 seconds off the world record at the time. A local celebrity, Chance of Prix became a frequent feature at Hayward Field, a mecca for track and field in the USA. Fans wore T-shirts that read "Legend," while those who supported other teams wore shirts with the phrase "STOPPRE" printed on a stop sign. Fontaine gained national attention and appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated at age 19. Fontaine set the American record in the 5,000 meters race, the event that took him to the 1972 Summer Olympic Games in Munich. In the finals, Fontaine took the lead in the last mile and ended the slow pace of the first 2 miles. In second place at the start of the bell lap, he fell back to third with 200 meters to go. Nasfira Copyright took the lead in the final turn over silver medalist Mohamed Gamaldi. Fontaine ran out of gas with 30 meters to go as Britain's hard-charging Ian Stewart caught him from behind and moved into third place within 10 meters of the finish, depriving Fontaine of an Olympic medal. In his 4 years at the University of Oregon, Fontaine never lost a collegiate race at 3 miles per 5,000 meters or 6 miles per 10,000 meters. Returning for his senior year, he ended his collegiate career with only 3 defeats in Eugene, all in the mile. It was during this year that Fontaine began a protracted fight with the Amateur Athletic Union, which demanded that athletes who wanted to remain amateur for the Olympics not be paid for appearances in track meets. Some viewed this arrangement as unfair, because the participants drew large crowds that generated millions of dollars in revenue, with the athletes being forced to shoulder the burden of all their own expenses without assistance. At the time, the AAU was rescinding athletes' amateur status if they were endorsed in any way. Because Fontaine was accepting free clothes and footwear from Nike, he was subject to the AAU's ruling. After college, following his collegiate career at Oregon, Fontaine prepared for the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal. While running for the Oregon Track Club, Prix set American records in every race from 2,000 to 10,000 meters. In 1974, Fontaine was invited to give a presentation at a banquet. It was held in Eugene, Oregon, the night prior to the Junior College Cross Country Championships. Fontaine talked about the importance of cross-country through his own eyes. After his death, the notes Fontaine made were given to his family. Death. On May 29, a group of traveling Finnish athletes took part in an NCAA prep meet in Eugene, Oregon. After the event, which included a track race that Fontaine won, the Finnish and American athletes attended a party. In the early morning hours of May 30, 1975, while returning from the party, Fontaine was driving on Skyline Boulevard, east of the University of Oregon campus near Hendricks Park when his orange 1973 MGB convertible swerved into a rock wall and flipped, trapping Fontaine underneath it. a nearby resident was first on the scene and reported he found Fontaine flat on his back, still alive but pinned beneath the wreck. By the time medics arrived, he was pronounced dead. It had been reported that his blood alcohol content was 0.16 by the Eugene Police Department. However, the accuracy of reported value is disputed by some other testing procedures. Fontaine is buried at Sunset Memorial Park in his hometown, Coos Bay. Aftermath: the Eugene Register Guard called his death the end of an era. By the time of his death, Fontaine was probably the most popular athlete in Oregon, who, along with Jim Rohn, Frank Shorter and Bill Rogers, was credited with sparking the running boom of the 1970s. An annual track event, the Pre-Classic, has been held in his honor since 1975. Throughout his career, he won 120 of the 153 races he ran, and never lost a collegiate race at the University of Oregon. Memorials: Prees Rock. Prees Rock is a memorial at the site of the roadside boulder where Fontaine died. The memorial features a plaque with a picture of Fontaine that reads, "For your dedication and loyalty to your principles and beliefs. For your love, warmth, and friendship, for your family and friends. You are missed by so many, and you will never be forgotten." Runners inspired by Fontaine leave behind memorabilia to honor his memory and his continued influence, such as race numbers, medals, and running shoes. Paying such homage to Fontaine has become a tradition that reaches a height during important or noteworthy running events in Eugene, for example the Olympic Trials or the Fontaine Classic. Prees Rock was dedicated in December 1997 and is maintained by Eugene Parks and Recreation as Fontaine Memorial Park. The rock is just across the Willamette River from the east end of Prees Trail. Other memorials: the Fontaine Memorial, featuring a relief of his face, records, and date of birth, is located at the Coos Bay Visitor Center in Coos Bay. In 2008, 10 memorial plaques were laid along the Fontaine Memorial Race Route, the former training grounds of Fontaine. The plaques bear an image of Fontaine from his high school yearbook and various quotes and records from his time in Coos Bay. The plaques were part of a grant from the Oregon Tourism Commission, the Coos Bay North Bend Visitor and Convention Bureau, and the Fontaine Memorial Committee. Each year on the third Saturday of September in Coos Bay, over 1,000 runners engage in the Fontaine Memorial Run, a 10K run honoring his accomplishments. The Coos Art Museum in Coos Bay contains a section dedicated to Fontaine. This section includes medals he won during his career and the pair of spikes he wore when setting an American record for the 5,000 meters at Hayward Field. In 1983, Fontaine was inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, where several exhibits showcase his shoes, shirts, and other memorabilia. Steve Fontaine is an inductee of the National Track and Field Hall of Fame in Upper Manhattan, where one of his Oregon University track uniforms is on display. The Pete Susik Stadium at Marshfield High School dedicated their track to honor Fontaine, in April 2001. Nike used video footage in a commercial titled Pre-Lives advertising his spirit for their product. On the 30th anniversary of his death, Nike placed a memorial in Sports Illustrated, and aired a television commercial in his honor. Nike's headquarters have a building named after him. Portrayals in mass media: Steve Fontaine's life story has been detailed in two dramatic films, 1997's Fontaine and 1998's Without Limits, as well as the documentary film Fire on the Track. Personal bests: at the time of his death, Fontaine held every American record between 2,000 and 10,000 meters. Competition record: notable performances, U.S. National Championships, a third fastest 3-mile time ever ran by an American high schooler. Fontaine's first non-high school track meet, the U.S. National Championships meet record. Fifth fastest 3-mile time ever ran and the second fastest by an American. Fontaine's first sub-13-minute 3-mile, broke his own 1971 U.S. National Championships meet record. Second fastest 3-mile time ever ran by an American, NCAA Championships. While at Oregon, Fontaine won 7 NCAA national titles, 3 in cross-country, 70, 71 and 73. And 4 in track, 70, 71, 72 and 73. He was the first athlete to win 4 NCAA track titles in the same event. Cross country, Fontaine redshirted the fall of 1972 after the Olympics, which made him eligible to run cross country in the fall of 1973. Track and field, a NCAA meet record, BA 5000m race was held this year rather than a 3-mile race. See NCAA meet record for 5000m. Broke Jerry Lindgren's 1968 record of 13:57.2. D broke his own NCAA meet record and set a stadium record, Oregon State High School Championships. During his junior and senior years at Marshfield High School, Fontaine went undefeated in both cross-country and track. Cross-country, track and field, references. Cited texts, Jordan, Tom. The Story of America's Greatest Running Legend, Steve Fontaine. Rodale Books. ISBN A978-087596-457-7. External links, official website, Fontaine Classic homepage, Steve Fontaine bio and pics. University of Oregon, official athletic site, Steve Fontaine at Find a Grave, Fontaine at the Internet Movie Database, Without Limits at the Internet Movie Database.